and during lectures, but I persevered. Meanwhile, Bobby had determined that college was not for him. He worked at a neighborhood garage and spent his evenings drinking and partying. Our parents never expressed concern over his lack of direction. They'd just laugh and remark, "That's our Bobby, always living in the moment." Then, during my senior year, I learned the truth. Bobby, who had been working at the garage for a few years, abruptly announced that he was starting his own vehicle repair shop. To my surprise, our parents had handed him their entire savings, money they had told me did not exist, to launch his firm. I could not believe it. All those nights I'd spent worrying about my increasing student debt, all the times I'd had to choose between textbooks and proper meals, and they'd always had money. They just decided to give it to Bobby instead. When I challenged them about it, they attempted to defend their actions. They argued Bobby needed the money more because he didn't have a college degree, whereas I would be alright because I was intelligent and would earn a good living as a doctor someday. They didn't seem to understand or care about the tremendous debt I had incurred or the stress I was experiencing. That was the final straw for me. I completed my degree and was accepted into medical school, but I cut off practically all contact with my family. I only spoke with them around significant holidays, and even then, it was quick and perfunctory. I immersed myself in my studies, determined to excel despite their lack of support. During my second year of medical school, I met Donna. She was a talented, compassionate law student. For the first time, I felt truly recognized and valued for who I am. We began dating and she became my rock. She listened to me when I talked about my family troubles and never condemned me for choosing to distance myself from them. Following graduation, Donna and I married and relocated to Seattle for our respective residencies. We established a life together, away from my family and the agony of my past. 2 years ago we welcomed our daughter Lily into this world. Becoming a parent caused me to think about my own childhood, and I promised myself that Lily would always feel loved and supported, no matter what path she took in life. Fast forward to now. I'm a successful pediatrician. Donna is making waves at a well-known law firm, and Lily is a lively 2-year-old who keeps us on our toes. Life is nice, but I'm still saddened by my family's treachery. A few weeks ago I received a call from my mother. It was the first time we had spoken in months and I sensed something was amiss. She was in tears, explaining that Bobby's business had failed and that he had returned to live with them. Apparently, he had made some poor decisions, gotten into debt, and was now unemployed. My parents had to refinance their home to assist him out. They suddenly want to reconnect with me. They've been calling and texting, requesting to visit and see their grandchild. My father even sent me an email expressing his pride in my accomplishment and his desire to make amends. Part of me wants to give them a chance. After all, they are my parents, and I miss having a family. I think about Lily and worry if I'm robbing her of grandparents. However, another part of me is angry and upset. They seem to want me in their lives now since Bobby has disappointed them and they need someone to be proud of. I do not know what to do. Should I provide them another chance? Should I keep them at arm's length, or should I stick with the distance I've developed over the years? Donna thinks I should at least listen to them, but she's also protective of me and doesn't want me to get injured again. She has offered to be present when I speak with them as a buffer and support system. I'm divided between the want for a family and the need to shield myself from additional misery. I am terrified of letting them back into my life. What happens if they hurt me again? What happens if they try to use me as a financial safety net now that Bobby has fallen from grace? But then I look at Lily and wonder if I'm letting my past influence her future. Any advice is much appreciated. How can I deal with this scenario without being a doormat or allowing my anger to control me? How can I protect my own family while perhaps mending my ties with my parents? I feel like I'm at a crossroads, unsure which course to choose. Update 1. Thank you for your responses. I go through every remark and appreciate the variety of viewpoints you've provided. I wanted to give you an update on what has happened since my previous post. After much thought and several long conversations with Donna, I decided to meet with my parents, but on my own terms. I proposed that we meet in a neutral area, such as a quiet cafe near my business, without my wife or daughter present. I wanted to hear them out without quickly involving my new family members. The days leading up to the encounter were fraught with apprehension. I found myself snapping at Donna over minor issues and having difficulty sleeping. The night before, I sat in Lily's room long after she had fallen asleep, admiring her serene expression and wondering if I'd made the correct decision. The morning of the meeting, I arrived at the cafe early. I chose a table in the corner so we could have some privacy. As I waited, I couldn't help but think of all the times I had sat waiting for my parents to arrive at my events, debate competitions, science fairs, and even my high school graduation party. They were often late, typically due to something involving Bobby. But this time, they arrived early. I observed them approaching the cafe via the glass. They appeared older than I remembered, and more worn down. My mother's hair was completely gray, and my father appeared to have shrunk, his once strong shoulders now slightly slumped. They entered the cafe, and for a little period, we all stared at each other. Then my mother ran forward and hugged me passionately. I flinched at first, unaccustomed to such demonstrations of devotion from her, but I gradually hugged her back. My father stood awkwardly to the side, visibly uncomfortable. We sat down, and I let them talk first. My mom performed the majority of the talking. She began by apologizing for the past, stating that they had understood how unfair they had been. She expressed how proud they were of my accomplishments and how they regretted not helping me more. Then came the kicker. They stated that Bobby's situation had a role in their desire to reconcile. Apparently, his failing company venture was more than simply a bankruptcy. He became associated with some unscrupulous guys and ended up with gambling debts. My parents had to sell their vacation home and take out a second mortgage to help him out. As they talked, memories flooded back. I remembered the summer before I left for college, when I begged to use the vacation home for a week with some friends. They had said no, claiming they intended to utilize it themselves. Later, I discovered that they had let Bobby and his pals stay there for a month. I listened to everything silently, letting them talk. When they were finished, I took a deep breath and told them how I truly felt. I detailed every incident of favoritism. Every time they ignored my accomplishments in favor of Bobby's latest wish. I told them about the evenings I sobbed myself to sleep in college, wondering why I wasn't good enough to have their support. I told them about how I had to sell my laptop, a high school graduation gift from my grandma, to pay for textbooks. I described how during college, I had to work night shifts at a diner, coming home stinking of grease and fatigued, while they paid for Bobby's partying. My father attempted to intervene to defend their behavior, but I shut him off. I reminded him of all the football games he had attended for Bobby, as well as how he had missed my debate team's state victory because he was at one of Bobby's games. I informed them that, while I appreciated their apologies, it did not erase years of pain and neglect. I made it obvious that if they wanted a relationship with me, it would be on my terms, which would require time and effort on their part. I also addressed the elephant in the room, Bobby. I informed them that, while I sympathized with his predicament, I didn't want to be his safety net or compete for their attention again. My life, my wife, and my daughter were my top priorities right now. As I spoke, I could see the pain and regret on their faces. My mother was silently crying, and my father appeared to have aged 10 years in the course of our chat. Part of me felt bad for causing them distress, but another part felt glad to finally express these things aloud. The conversation ended with mixed emotions. We agreed to take things slowly. I stated I'd be available for occasional phone conversations, but I made no guarantees regarding in-person visits or introducing them to Lily. I told them I needed time to comprehend everything and asked them to respect my boundaries. As I left the cafe, I felt an odd combination of melancholy and relief. It wasn't the heartfelt reconciliation some had hoped for, but it seemed genuine and essential. I walked to my car and sat there for a while, repeating the conversation in my head. When I arrived home, Donna was waiting for me. She took one look at my face and hugged me. We sat on the couch and I told her everything. She listened without judgment, providing comfort and support. Donna asked me how I was feeling that night when we were lying in bed. I told her I was unsure. Part of me felt lighter, as if I'd finally let go of a load I'd been carrying for years, but another felt raw and exposed, as if an old wound had been reopened. I'm still processing things, but I feel like I've made a step toward healing. Even if the path ahead remains unpredictable. I know it won't be easy, and there will be a lot to go through, but for the first time in years I feel like I might be able to reconnect with my parents. I'll keep you updated as things progress. Thank you all for your encouragement and wisdom. It has given me the strength to confront this circumstance front on. Update 2. It's been approximately a month since my meeting with my parents, and I wanted to provide another update. Things have been complicated. True to my word, I have allowed only limited communication with my parents. We've had a few phone calls, mainly brief and embarrassing. My mother has worked quite hard, possibly to an excessive degree. She calls more frequently than I'm comfortable with and is always curious about Lily. I've had to establish some boundaries there, telling her that she must earn the right to be a grandma. Last week, she called and spent 20 minutes telling me about a toy she had purchased for Lily. I had to interrupt her and remind her that she hadn't even met Lily yet, and it wasn't right to purchase her things at this point. She appeared to be hurt, but I kept my position. In contrast, my father has remained aloof. He has only